The
The
Newsroom.
Newsroom. So, as I watched this time, I decided, I'm going to keep two running lists. One of things I like, and one of things I don't like. Just seemed like the right way to do this one.
Okay.
So, let me give you the list of things I like. I'll I didn't tinker too much with this list, so you'll get a little bit of my real-time notes just because it seems realer that way than trying to rehash this in some other way.
Sure.
So what I have written here is, oh good, someone realizes Occupy Wall Street might not be the most humongous story. That's refreshing in its own way. Oh, nope, fake out. It is the huge story. Except the police handling of the protest was definitely a story, so I'm glad that they started getting us to that point pretty quickly. It's one thing I liked.
Yeah.
You have anything to mention about the Occupy Wall Street part?
Oh, it was fine enough. I know that they have to keep going with it. And I keep feeling like with this show in general, I need to do my homework and like compare and contrast to the hindsight version of the recaps of those near in the past events versus what really happened. But honestly, I'm just too lazy. It seems in line with what I remember, but it does have that hindsight problem,
Yeah,
right?
I know what you mean. And along those lines, can I admit to you, I
Wait, wait,
t-
wait. I think I'm going to admit the same thing. I want to see if we synchronize our admitting. Maybe we're going to admit different things. But I just wanted to
I
set it
couldn't
up.
remember Troy Davis.
I couldn't either, and the show is totally unforgiving. It's like no backstory. It's like if you're smart, you would have followed this case. If you're a viewer, like the types of viewers that me, Aaron Sorkin, wants for this show, I have to give no premise setting or expose. It's just out there. So I had to, of course, read about it after I watched it. I'm like, oh, I totally missed
Uh,
that.
I didn't go that far. But the other convenient thing, Don had been covering the story for 9 years.
Yeah, and it was like some huge passion of his, and that was a bit much in my opinion. I feel like, well, whatever. I guess that was the angle of why it was important to the newsroom in the first place. So what am I supposed to do with it? Yeah.
Yeah, so sorry to slip on the things that under the things I didn't like list, but it seemed to flow. Back to the things I like list.
Okay, okay.
Okay, here's one. I'll say this one. That Willie Nelson song over the last part, it gave sort of a sense of calm or decompressing as a nice contrast to the usually very high energy pace, and I found it effective.
I agree with you there. No complaints. Good use of music.
pretty pretty faint praise, and also that ended up being the last on the list.
Oh, so is your like negative list like 3 times as long?
Yeah, it is, here's what I want to emphasize about this episode, and I wonder if it's going to be a trend. Um, I just care less after this episode, and the first episode was started this trend, and now it's even further on this one. Fewer things that really piss me off, but also fewer things that I really like. That's what I'm finding, and I hope that I don't know. I hope we can find some better balance going forward.
I'm in the same boat as you. Like, for instance, when Will's character goes down to the jail to bail out Dev Patel's character, whatever his name is,
Neil.
Neil, the guy who runs the website, he has this really eloquent speech hashed out that includes a back and forth with the cop at the window, and it's kind of this brilliant, like, you know, yay for liberals or something. Well, okay, so maybe that's not fair because it's not quite that easy, but it's just this like speech where the guy that makes millions of dollars steps off his pedestal and comes to help somebody lower down and makes a huge point. And in the first season, I might have been like having goosebumps or thinking that was really cool, but in this season, I'm like, I guess that was effective enough. But everything is my reactions are just toned down. Like the positives are pretty weak and the negatives don't matter as much either, and it's starting to like worry me.
Yeah, about that scene, I felt like they set that up actually a little bit, at least to my mind, by having Don come in and remind us that he'd been a federal prosecutor, and I had to take a minute. He was a federal. Oh, maybe I remember he was a federal prosecutor back in the day.
Right. They really
And
did set
then
it up.
then they had someone else come and tell us how he was commended by a judge for having such great character as a prosecutor. And then he goes down. If he were an actual federal prosecutor now, he would have just ordered the cop to void the arrest. But now he just knows the right things to say. But so they just sort of took this thing that I hadn't touched for episodes and episodes and episodes way into last season, and they just brought it up to sort of set that up, however
Yeah.
successful it was.
Well, and as a show, even if you're Aaron Sorkin, you only get like one rehearsed speech per show, not two or three. That's got to be the new rule, because there was this scene where, the dude makes some case for why the other dude's in jail, and then Will is like, you're referring to Section 22 of Code 17.3b or something, and it's like, because I'm so brilliant and I know these things and it works for the lines I'm delivering. And then like later in the show, there's another scene where Maggie is trying to get a trip to Africa, and she's getting grilled, and it's like, who's the ambassador? Who's the president? What's their state currency? Or what's their currency? What's their state? This, that, and the other. And she's getting quizzed, and she knows all the right answers because she's such a go-getter. And it's like, okay, one too many. You can only do one of those.
Yeah, everyone just knows these details that I've been a lawyer in my life, and I sort of suspect that even lawyers don't know the statutes that you're violating every time. Sometimes they do if it's their field, but yeah, that was a little much. Right. And also with Maggie, I agree. Speaking of Maggie, we spent a lot of time on Maggie trying to get that YouTube video taken down.
Yeah, soap opera city here. Jeez, this love triangle will not go away, or love quadrilateral.
I started to roll my eyes when she was getting dressed down by her roommate, this whole huge speech. And then when she went with Sloane to try to go to the laundromat to try to get it taken off too.
And Sloane is just available, and this world-renowned economist is just going to throw away like her Twitter account status, or not that it's that unbelievable in some of these scenes, but Sloane is just like this puppy dog. I want to come. Can you be my friend too?
Right. And then at the end, it didn't even work. Right? Isn't that what we heard? That
right.
You take it down.
Right.
Oh, the drama. Oh, the drama.
Yeah. But again, the low payoff, low stakes drama that's like, oh, that relationship that I already like tossed aside because it didn't work out the first 3 times isn't working out again. That's too bad. I'm so sad.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. We also had Jim on the campaign trail. Now, I've never been a reporter, but I feel like I've been in situations where even if you're competitors or opponents, there's like this professional courtesy. And I just imagine that reporters probably ask each other to frame me up, and they just do it without trying to screw them over. Because if it's messed up, then what good does that do the other reporter? You know what I mean? Yeah,
there was a little bit too much of the dickish, and it wasn't just once. Again, Mr. Sorkin, you can make your point one time, but like 2 or 3 times of the reporters being dicks to each other, it's like, we get it. They're competitors. We've heard it 3 times in the same episode.
Yeah.
Now what's going to happen that it's set up that way?
So, we're going through all these things. None of these things are really super annoying. That we didn't really hit any of my main 3, which is the 2020 hindsight, maybe a little with Troy Davis, the sexism, and then the self-congratulatoriness. But now, if I don't hate it, then I just don't feel anything for the show, which is almost a worse thing to say about it.
That's funny that your top 3 criticisms that we thought we were going to carry over from the other one, we just used all this time on these other nitpicky things, because I guess we could talk about those too, but I feel like just the way you mentioned it, people are going to be like, let me remember the episode. Oh yeah, there's little of that one, little of that one. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I hope that it goes away from just being this lukewarm mishmash to, I'd rather hate it than not care about it, to be quite honest.
Yeah, although I'm enjoying my frivolous / whimsical attitude towards it this season. It's the token show that fits the spot for me in terms of I know the characters, I like some of the actors, it's got some good banter back and forth, and the things that annoy me are just fun to talk about. So
yeah, it's an HBO show. It's got super high production value. Some of the people doing things are really great at what they do. Like Aaron Sorkin is really great at some things. So it's not very. Let me put it this way: it's often just pleasant and enjoyable. And I guess we will see how it goes throughout the season.
Yeah, reminder to us not to take all that pleasantness and enjoyableness as take it for granted or whatever. It's good.
All right. I think that about does us on the newsroom. You?
Yeah, yep, me too.